So today's subject is preparing and maintaining a security awareness education and training program. This is one of the most important subjects in the entire cybersecurity area. People working for organizations, they use several different tools to protect their organizations, but no matter how many security tools you have in your disposal, you are as strong as the weakest link in your security posture of the organization. Your overall security resilience depends on the behaviors of your employees. So everything ends up at the people that you are dealing with. No matter how expensive security tools you are using, it comes to the people who are using it. And if you don't train your employees properly on how to protect themselves against cyber attacks, your organization is at risk. An accidental or intentional mistake by a single user can completely undermine all the security controls that you are putting in place and exposing your organization to unacceptable levels of risk. The risks that can be caused by your employees might be, as I said earlier, accidental or intentional. Employees might be the victims of cyber attacks, such as social engineering and phishing attacks. Complacency or carelessness of the employees also cause a lot of issues. Serving in roles as single point of failure also cause a lot of problems for the organizations. And there are the employees who intentionally cause harm to their organizations, which is also known as the insider threat. So we have to train all our employees on the risks that they face during their daily operations while they're working for the organization. Providing appropriate training, security training, education, and awareness programs to the employees help protect organizations against such cybersecurity risks. They also help companies comply with regulatory requirements. Most of the organizations today are required to comply with several regulations that are imposed by cities, states, countries, governments, or in some cases, some private organizations like the PCI Council. To do business, you have to comply. You have to be compliant with the requirements. And security training, providing security training to your employees is always one of the requirements, whichever security framework you look at. So one thing that I would like to clarify before we go forward, security education, training, and awareness are usually used interchangeably. However, these are three different subjects. When we talk about education, education is a formal process by which an individual develops a conceptual understanding of any given subject. This is usually done at an educational institution. When you go to college, you receive a formal education. Training is more practical. Training teaches specific skills and address known circumstances, such as training that you receive on how to administer a certain operating system. And awareness awareness gives focus and attention to a particular issue so that the learner can identify out of normal circumstances and respond appropriately. I would like to show you a figure that I took from NIST Cybersecurity document, special publication 800-50. This figure shows that learning is a continuum. It starts with awareness, builds to training, and evolves into education. So At the bottom of this figure, you can see the awareness. Awareness is for everyone. We have to give some sort of awareness to all our employees, whether they are working at the IT department, HR department, operations department, or any other department. Training is usually for people who are involved in IT systems, and education is for professionals and specialists. The document that I took this figure from is from 2003. Even though it's an old documentation, it's considered one of the most important resources on preparing and security awareness training. It is prepared by National Institute of Standards and Technology. It's a department under Department of Commerce. It's the United States federal agency, which is responsible for all standardization and technology issues, and all the cybersecurity related standards are published by this organization. So they have two good resources on security awareness training. One is NIST Special Publication 800-50. It says 5 on the screen. It's not 5, it's 50. Building an Information Technology Security Awareness and Training Program. The other one is 800-16. So to make things much more visible and easy to understand, I would like to show you this chart. The difference between awareness training and education. The awareness, while awareness is concerned about giving the pertinent practical information to the target audience, training provides deeper knowledge to perform certain activities. And education provides theoretical insight to the subject matter. Awareness programs have short-term impacts on people because you are not providing too in-deep information, and you are not asking people to spend hours on a training program or in education years. Awareness programs only give what is required, and it provides some information to the people to increase their awareness. So just because of that, usually the awareness programs have short-term impact on people. That's one of the reasons why we should repeat this training and activity to make sure that people are on their toes all the time, and they're aware of the cyber threats that they can face in their day-to-day activities. All right, let's, after explaining the difference between education, training, and awareness, let's jump to the design of a successful security awareness program. So there are 4 major steps in the design and development of an awareness and training program. They are performing a needs assessment, which will tell you what exactly you need in your security awareness program. It's not the same for every single organization. It changes from organization to organization, country to country, state to state. So you have to figure out what your organization needs. First, that's the most important step in this when you are preparing your awareness and training program. The second step is we will go in detail and explain all these steps later. The second step is designing and developing an awareness training, designing and developing the awareness training material and content. The third step is delivering the content to your employees. And after that, the last step is monitoring the results and revising the awareness and training program if necessary. So the first step is performing a needs assessment. As I said earlier, performing a needs assessment is the first and maybe the most important step in the development of an awareness and training program. The findings and discoveries that you make at this stage shapes your entire awareness and training program. When developing an awareness program, assessing the following is very important. Your organization's compliance requirements, the risk environment that you are operating in, or your organization's capacity, your resources, and understanding the organizational culture. Yes, the culture is also very important. The people that work for your organization have different cultures, and when you are preparing something, you have to take this into consideration, or otherwise it won't hold. Compliance requirements change from organization to organization and according to the location that you are operating in. I will give you some examples from the United States. If you are working for a hospital or a medical institution, you have to comply with US Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, which is also known as HIPAA. And for example, if you are working for a financial institution, you have to comply with US Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. If you are a merchant that is accepting payments from buyers by credit cards, you have to comply with the PCI DSS requirements. Even though it's not a government entity, if you would like to do business with them, you have to comply with their requirements. And if you are trying to align your company's cybersecurity program with one of the international frameworks, such as ISO 27000 series standards, or NIST standards 800-53. If you look at all these frameworks and standards, you see that security awareness training is a must. It's a requirement, because all these organizations realize that the most important element in an organization is people. If you don't train people, you cannot protect yourself. You have to protect your people. You have to teach them how to protect themselves. So when you are doing the needs assessment, once the minimum expectations for the compliance are identified, a needs assessment must follow it. A needs assessment will identify gaps between the organization's requirements and the capabilities of its stakeholders. It will provide information on the organization's current level of awareness and the preferred methods of delivery, and identify the different levels of awareness that stakeholders might have. So when you are conducting your needs assessment, you might ask, who should be involved? You have to involve your executive management. You have to get their buy-in, because at the end of the day, they are the ones who will approve your program and who will give you a budget so that you can run your program. So you have to get the highest level support in your company if you would like to prepare a successful program. Of course, if you have any information security officers working at your company, they have to be involved. The system owners, system administrators, IT support employees, operational management. And it's also important to involve human resources and your legal team because of the compliance requirements. If your company is required to comply with certain rules and regulations, you definitely need to involve legal counsel. And the reason why you should be involving human resources is when you put your awareness program in place, it needs to start from the time a new employee steps into the organization. They have to, that should be one of the things that an employee should complete when they start working for an organization. And you have to get the support of the human resources so that you can start from the beginning. And how can you perform a needs assessment? What are the practical ways of performing a needs assessment at your organization? I'm providing a list of things that you can do, but this list is not comprehensive. If you would, well, you can use any of these techniques to collect as much information as possible for your needs assessment. But if you become creative and find other methods, that's also fine too. Some of the techniques that you can use are interviews, surveys, reviews and assessment of available resources, analysis of metrics created related to awareness and training. If you already have a program in place, you can look at the metrics to adjust your training program and to understand your organization's needs. Review of security plans for general support systems and measure applications to identify systems and application owners, and appointed security representatives. You can review the user ID databases to determine who have access to your systems. And you can also analyze the events, incidents, cyber attacks that had happened in the past. You can look at the denial of service attacks. You can look at the phishing attempts, the malicious attachments that were sent to your employees' emails. You can collect all this information and try to understand what kind of threats you are facing with. That definitely needs that definitely helps you to understand what your organization needs for the training program. The needs assessment report will be used by management to develop an awareness strategy and appropriate plans to resource the development and delivery of the awareness content. This strategy will also set the baseline for evaluating the effects of the awareness program. The plans themselves will reflect the organization's training and awareness priorities to ensure that the areas of highest risks are addressed. So we are going to the second step, which is the development of the content of the program. So when you are developing the content, you should be answering these questions. What change in behavior is needed at your organization? What information will motivate that change? And how will the change in behavior be evaluated? And when you are developing the content, you also need to decide, if you are doing it for the first time, you have to decide if you will do it in-house or if you are going to outsource it. Usually, developing an awareness training program in-house is quite difficult, and it's not preferred by most of the organizations. You have to create content all the time. You have to update that content, and you have to have a big cybersecurity team to be able to do it in-house. But it's not too costly. Most of the organizations, my organization, for example, prefers to work with an outside organization. Its sole business is on creating security awareness content. We just sign a contract with them and a non-disclosure agreement, and they provide all the training content that we want. Actually, they provide more than that. They provide hundreds of training content, and we just pick from them, pick amongst those content that they're providing, and we are giving those training courses to our employees and to our executive team. And you should also be aware of your target audience when you are developing the content. You should definitely have a program which targets all your employees, a simpler and shorter version of your awareness program. You might need to prepare something specific to executives, because there are specific cybersecurity threats that target your head of finance and the CEO of your company. You have to train them on that specific threat, and you have to provide them a specific training program. I just gave executive as an example. If there are any specific type of group of people working in your organization which require specific training, you should provide that kind of specific training to those people too. If, for example, there's a certain group of people who are using different types of devices, let's say, just an example, you have to provide them a training which increases their awareness on the specific threats that target those kind of devices. And lastly, you shouldn't be forgetting vendors and partner companies. If you are working with contracted companies, vendors, you have to have a specific program for those employees as well. And this is also for your information. This is just a list of non-comprehensive list of what topics can be covered in your awareness and training program. I try to put the most favorite subjects here, but if there are any particular threat that is not listed here and relevant for your company, you can also include those in your awareness and training program as well. But if you look at if you look at the cyber attacks that most of the organizations are facing with, phishing, social engineering, malware, ransomware, and password security, USB device security, mobile device security. These are some of the most important topics. Well, since the pandemic started, a lot of people started to work from home. So it also started to become a cybersecurity vulnerability for a lot of companies. You should also train your employees and increase their awareness on how to work safely from home when they are working from home. And you should also tell them what the compliance requirements for your company are. If you have a cybersecurity policy in place, you also need to include what's in that policy in your awareness program, so that you can tell people what's expected of them. And when you are preparing your program, you have to choose the best tools that you can. There are several things that you have to take into consideration when you are putting your program together. One of them is the budget. You need to be very careful about your budgetary restrictions. You wouldn't like to make a program which doesn't fit into your budget. So you have to be aware of your budget. That's one of the most important things that you have to consider. Gamification is using game techniques in non-game applications. People, most people, let's say, not everybody, but most people like playing games. And when you are preparing your program, you can include some gamification in your program just to keep people engaged, just to make things more interesting. One of the best tools that you can use is security ambassadors or security champions, whatever you call it at your organization, to reach out different departments. You can try to select an ambassador or a champion within each department of your organization and get their help to reach out to the people in that department regarding cybersecurity related topics. And there are so many communication tools that you can use when you are designing your training program. You can create a library of information tools in somewhere. If your company is using like SharePoint, you can create a library. Or if you have an internal website, you can create an information library, cybersecurity information library. You can put all relevant information in there, and you can direct people to go and read those material. You can use posters, newsletters. You can even work with your IT department and ask them to put certain things as a screensaver on people's desktops. If you have any monitors around your office space, you can ask the person who's responsible for those monitors to use them every once in a while to put some cybersecurity related content on them. You can use pamphlets. You can even give coffee cups, pens, stickers, mouse pads to your employees and other useful giveaways to your employees, which will remind them of cybersecurity related topics. So when it comes to delivering the content, you have several options. You can pick instructor-led events. These are in-house events. You can ask all your employees to go into a conference room, and you can provide a training in person. Or you can choose computer-based training, especially if you are working with a contracted company which provides computer-based training programs. You can just direct your employees to that website and ask them to complete that training. But security awareness program is not only about providing some sort of training to your employees. There are several other things that you can do. For example, phishing campaigns. You can send fake phishing emails to your employees, and then you can test them to see if they are clicking on the link on the phishing email. You can, and well, even though you have there's a time limit for the training, you can maybe do it only once a year. I mean, you cannot ask your employees to complete awareness training every single month. It would be an overkill. Some companies do it every 6 months. Some companies do it every year. But phishing campaigns, this might be. They don't have any limit. You can do it all around the year. You can make one of the months the cybersecurity awareness months, and you can organize events. You can call people. You can reach out to the people, and all these giveaways that I mentioned previously: coffee cups, pens, some toys. You can give them all during the cybersecurity awareness month. I don't know how it works everywhere, but we usually do it in October. Most of the professionals that I am in communication with, they are also doing it in October. October is usually is known as the Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And you can also think of any other exercises to increase the awareness of your people. And as I mentioned before, the source of the delivery might be internal or external. You can use your own resources, or you can just buy it from a contracted company when you are delivering your content. And the last step is monitoring the results. So let's say you worked hard and you put a cybersecurity training program together, but your work doesn't end there. You have to monitor the results. You have to see if your program is working, and you have to make changes on your program if necessary. When you are monitoring the results, it's easy to tell whether people have been exposed to the awareness material by using sign-in rosters and course attendance tracking. However, behavior change, which is the best measure of program success, is more difficult to measure. You can use evaluation forms, questionnaires, selective interviews after you provided the training. And what you are going to do with all this information that you collected, you can review your current policies, procedures, and training material. And if they need to be revised, you can revise them and then test them again. It's a cycle, never-ending cycle. You prepare something, you monitor the results, you make changes, you put it in action again, and try to see if it's working or not. And as I mentioned earlier, not every single organization is unique. Something that works for an organization might not work for another organization. So you have to understand your organization well, your requirements, your people. You have to understand them well, and you have to tailor your program according to your organization. And how are you going to evaluate your program effectiveness? You can use training metrics. Simple metrics like training completion rates are a great place to start when evaluating the effectiveness of your security awareness program. This type of metrics can tell you whether your training resources are reaching a sufficient percentage of your employees, and may alert you if alternate delivery methods are necessary. You can also use quizzes, exams after your training program. This is one of the most effective methods of measuring program effectiveness through knowledge retention. Quizzes are most reliable when measuring the effectiveness of security policies and related information. Analysis of quiz results should be conducted to identify trends that reveal necessary modifications to your training materials. If a substantial number of your employees get the same question wrong, for example, it likely means that you need to provide further or clearer information about that topic. The next one is Security Awareness Day or Week. We talked about this before. By sponsoring Security Awareness Days or Weeks, you not only have an opportunity to provide security education, but you can also use this as an opportunity to solicit feedback from your employees on the program itself. You can provide attendees with anonymous questionnaires that allow them to express their opinion about the current program and propose new ideas on content delivery. And inherent evaluation. You can also measure the effectiveness of your awareness program by evaluating your organization's overall security posture. Certain metrics such as number of phishing emails and other security issues reported to the IT department can provide a great deal of insight into the effectiveness of your program. As your company's employees are increasingly educated on security risks, you should start to see the number of self-reported security issues rise. It's better to see a rise in reported suspected issues than a rise in successful compromises. And I would like to provide you with some useful resources that I use and I thought you might also use when you are preparing your program. The first one is a website called Security Awareness Special Interest Group. This group is a subscription-free, sales-free networking environment for more than 5,000 end-user cybersecurity practitioners, professionals from all other disciplines, such as risk, human resources, legal, and others, and representatives from government, law enforcement, and academia are also a part of this group. It's a huge group. If you go to their websites, you can find lots of free resources on how to prepare a good program. Another good resource is CyberSafe Research Library. I gave their website here, cybsafe.com. Research Library. This database provides a foundation of thought leadership as well as guidance on a variety of awareness subjects. The Research Library is an online resource that would help you when you are preparing your program. Another useful resource is the National Institute of Standards and Technology website. This is a federal agency in the United States under the Department of Commerce. And the mission of this agency is to promote American innovation and industrial competitiveness. I specifically mentioned two documents here. NIST Special Publication 800-50. This is Building an Information Technology Security Awareness Training Program document. And 800-16, Information Technology Security Training Requirements, a role and performance-based model. These two documents are still in effect. These are free for all. If you go to the NIST website, you can download these documents and use them to prepare your program. 800-50 is an old program which was written in 2003. NIST is working on this document these days. They are revising this document. They are planning to publish a revised document sometime this year. You should follow the NIST website to see if they published the document yet. European Union Agency for Cybersecurity. This is also a good source. It's also free, mostly free. Some of the sections require access. It's open to some government agencies in the EU. But there are also lots of free resources that can be used by security professionals on this website, European Union Agency for Cybersecurity. I don't know if you heard of SANS. SANS is also one of the biggest organizations that is dedicated on cybersecurity. You have to sign up to reach out their resources. You can do it for free, but when you sign up, you can find very good resources on SANS website. They also provide very good training programs. They are not free, but they are quite useful. And the next one is KnowBe4. This is one of the biggest organizations that provide security awareness program and resources. KnowBe4.com. If you go to their website, you can find tons of useful information. And if you decide to work with them, you can also procure their services. They have very good information security awareness courses. And I also would like to recommend 2 books. The first one is Security Awareness for Dummies, a book by Ira Winkler. This is a great resource and quite a new book actually. It was published last year. You can find a lot of good information in this book. And one of the best resources that you can find is also a book called People-Centric Security. This was published in 2015. This is one of the most important books that you can read and implement if you truly want to make measurable change in your organization's security culture. So my presentation ends here, and I would like to open for questions. If you have any questions, I can try to answer them.
So questions?
Actually, there's one question. It's not about awareness training, but it's about security policy.
Mm-hmm.
How does one develop a security policy for an organization? There are, when you talk about a cybersecurity program, we are going into a different subject now. It's not about awareness, but it's cybersecurity posture as a whole for an organization. You have to have written documentation. The policies are used by organizations to communicate what is required of the employees. So if you are writing a security policy for your organization, you have to be very careful because all those policies are binding. There are several documentation that you can create. You can create policies, procedures, manuals, guidelines, and any other documentation. Policies are the binding documentations. And there are several policies that you can write for your information security program. And you are asking how I can develop a security policy. If you don't know where to start, I would suggest that you search for it. If you remember, I mentioned sans.org. If you go to their website, they have some sample policies. You can download them for free. There are at least 7 or 8 different policies, as far as I remember, on their website. Those are the most required policies for an organization, like acceptable use policy, password policy, access control policy, and several others. You can download it from their website, but what I would like to suggest you is don't try to implement whatever you download from either Sans or anywhere else. Use them as a baseline, but try to tailor that document to your organization.
Great. Thank you, Serhat, for the presentation, and thank you everyone for participating. And if you have further questions, you can send us, you can send him LinkedIn messages or our emails. Great. We hope to see you in our next event in the same meetup group. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.